Hey guys, welcome to the show. I'm your host Asher Al. Welcome to the Starting Million Show. As usual, I'm also very excited for my upcoming guest because I have never traveled to the Philippines. And my knowledge of the Pearl of the Orient Seas is supremely limited. That's what they call the Philippines, right? So, and since I won't be traveling much for the near future, because we're all kind of stuck at home, right? So I decided, why don't I have a chat? So I invited my guest because he's very passionate about sharing the Filipino culture. So I'm excited to have him on. And so if you happen to be from there, feel free to say hi, drop in the comments. And this is a live show, by the way. So leave a hashtag live, just so I know that you're watching together with me. Okay, so without further ado, I'm just going to get the party started. See you in a bit.
You cut me loose and set me free. You cut me loose. You make me win in every way. Win in every way. You show me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win in every way.
So my guest, Ryan Racela, is a radio DJ, events host, and content creator from Manila, Philippines. He's one half of Magic 89.9's afternoon radio show, One for the Road, and the host of the YouTube channel Ryan Rambles with Ryan Racela. In his free time, he enjoys rapping, playing guitar, and watching movies. His greatest passion is sharing Filipino culture with the world through entertaining videos. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Ryan. Hello.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you for coming on to the show. So I appreciate you joined in. So we have, right now we have this Ang Sarap Grape, okay, who is actually joined us, is waiting. So I think we are already started. Thank you for joining in. If you're watching this like right now, just leave a hashtag live so we know, and welcome Ryan over here. So thank you once again for coming on to the show, Ryan, because now Ryan came on because we actually got connected through we are both part of a course, and we got connected because we threw that course first of all. Then afterwards, I realized that the guest that I had to reschedule. So I was like, oh no, what do I do? And afterwards I asked around, and Ryan was so kind to just I volunteer as tribute. Right, so he volunteered as
games.
Yeah. So he volunteered as tributes. He came in, and I was like, okay. And so we have only chatted at max text on in that group itself, and now he bravely decided to just hop onto the show without knowing for sure what is going on here. So brave soul, Ryan, brave soul.
Well, I don't know. Like it seemed like a fun idea. We were in the Facebook course. Shout out to Shirley, by the way, who's watching. She's the Ang Sarap Grabe. That's Shirley's Facebook, who is also in our Facebook class. So I don't know, like you seemed like a pretty fun guy, and since I'm new at the Nas Academy, I wanted to make friends. I wanted to meet the people who've been there for a while. So I jumped at the chance, and now I'm here.
Awesome. Indeed, I will hold on to that position of the older guy. I'm definitely older because I just found out how much older I am compared to you. So hey, Yongin, good to see you. Welcome. Roxy, also from the Philippines. Thank you for coming in as well. Yeah. So we just found out actually that next week is your birthday, right? Next week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 24. My gosh, so young. I'm 37, so I am a lot. 13 years. Think about it. I'm almost half double. Let me take 24 divided by 212. I'm almost 50% more.
Right. Well, it really depends how you think about it. Like when I talk to like my sister and her generation, I feel older because she's like 17. But when you talk to me, it's like I'm younger. So I'm sure if you talk to someone who's like 50, like 37 is so young. So it really depends on who you're talking to.
True. So I got the match of energy. So Roxy is saying happy birthday to you as well.
Thank you, Roxy.
Yeah, Roxy came onto my show in the earlier versions of this show. So she was an earlier guest as well, and I again very appreciative of her. So okay, Ryan, because you're first time here, so as a prof, now I want to ask you a couple of questions. So just to kind of get to know a little bit more about you, right? So no pressure, no sweat. Okay, even though like the side, the background behind you is all red and all, so no pressure. All right, so. Okay, so as a professional DJ, right? You're a professional DJ. So you play music and you interview other celebrities. When was the last time you got interviewed, man?
Last time I got interviewed, for fun or like professionally? What's the
Let's call it professionally then. Okay,
okay?
this is fun and professional. So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
both. Let's go with both.
Um. Oh, okay. Actually, the last time was like for a Father's Day episode. My dad's actually well, he used to be a professional basketball player here in the Philippines. Now he's a coach.
Oh.
So for like a Father's Day episode, one of the journalists here in the Philippines, she got my dad and I to talk about like fatherhood and stuff. So that was the last time. But before that, I guess it was Bellic interviewing me to be part of T3.
I see. So that means officially you have not been interviewed. Kinda.
What do you mean by officially?
That means like on like in a professional kind of like semi-professional kind of setting like this. So other than the with your dad.
Well, I've done a bunch of podcasts. I've been on people's podcasts.
Okay.
So
then that
I guess
qualifies. That
those.
qualifies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you also done a few shows and a lot of celebrities. Can you recall who were the biggest names that you've chat with?
That's really interesting because it depends who you ask. Like maybe for you, KSI would be the biggest the biggest person because he's really big in the internet scene, right? So maybe that's KSI. But to someone who doesn't care about internet culture, the person doesn't know who KSI is. So the biggest person might be someone like Saweetie, the rapper Saweetie, or I don't know. I've at this point interviewing is basically my job, so I can't play music right now. I can't be on the radio. So the stay at home version, the work from home version of my job is to interview artists. So that's what I do. The last artist I interviewed is Bastille. I don't know if you're familiar with Bastille. So maybe them also, but yeah, I guess for in a general sense, it's KSI.
Right. So how does it feel to be like chatting with this, in a sense, larger than life kind of people? As because you're like 24, and to connect with these people who have been impacting so many people, right? Who have reached so many people. How does it feel?
That's a good question. I've honestly never thought about it. I just thought about it as part of my job. So, but I guess thinking about it now, it's a nice feeling because there's really an art to interviewing. Like yes, like what you said, the guest is larger than life and he has this big personality. But it's up to you to kind of channel that personality into something that can inspire others. So if you ask a question that can lead him to saying something that will turn someone into content creation or following their dreams, then that's the best thing you can do. So I guess I just marvel at the opportunities that I can use.
Very cool. So you also, because you mentioned about we are talking about the topic of this today. We are actually learning about the what's special about the Philippine culture or the Filipino culture, right? So why are you so passionate, especially about sharing about the Filipino culture, though?
Yeah, that's another good question. I guess it's a lot of things, but I'd have to point it to this one guy. He's a Filipino rapper. His name is Francis M. And I was really into hip hop music, and I was listening to NWA, the hip hop group. So they have a song called Straight Outta Compton. And I was dropping it along. I was like, oh, Straight Outta Compton, but I'm not from Compton. I'm from Manila. So I looked up Filipino rappers, and this guy Francis M was rapping about saying he was the man from Manila, and he had all these songs about how we were never meant to be colonized or enslaved, and how we should be empowered. So I really related to that, and I guess just listening to that music, I was inspired to do it also, and make other Filipinos, they just follow along and consume more Filipino movies, TV shows, and music, and that's what my channel is all about. All those things, because not a lot of Filipino content creators make videos about things that are Filipino. They try to reach like an international audience or and stuff like that. So I wanted to be one of the first people who do that.
Okay, so that's like on YouTube. But have you actually like found ways to work in some Filipino cultural exchange with any of your international guests?
Oh yeah, definitely. With KSI and Anne Marie, I through my research I found out that everyone knows that KSI is a boxer, right? He fought Logan Paul, and Anne Marie is actually a karate black belt. She's a karate champion. So I made up this scenario where who would win in a WWE fight. So tag team Anne Marie and KSI versus Manny Pacquiao, who is the greatest boxer in Philippine history. So Manny Pacquiao and Digital Farm Animals, who produce their track. So I like to work in little stuff like that just to integrate them. And because this is a Filipino radio station, what I work for. So I like to ask questions that really feel like you're in the Philippines, even if you're not.
Interesting. That's a good way to work it in, and especially that's a very good balance you found because you did research, and I think that's part of being a good host as well, right? You do a little bit of research, and sometimes you have to dig that day, especially because these people are kind of larger than life, so there's a lot of research, and it makes the day a little bit easier when there's enough data for you to just dig. Oh, they've been a boxer, one's a black belt, and just
If they have a
put them together.
Wikipedia page, basically, right? If they have a Wikipedia page, it's so easy to like.
True. Do you have a Wikipedia page? Perhaps it's time to set you one up.
I don't. You know what? It was my childhood dream to have one. My dad has a Wikipedia page, so I would
Wow.
like look. You know how Wikipedia pages have a personal life section, so I'd click on the personal life part, and then I'd like click on my name. I was like, one day this is gonna be clickable. So so it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully it'll happen.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to that. So okay, so now that we kind of got those started. So I also want to find out because like I said at the start, I have never traveled to the Philippines. So and my knowledge of Philippines is very, very limited. So say I visit the Philippines, right? And I visit the Philippines. Where should I go? Where should I be going if I want to like very deeply experience, first of all, like the people, the place, and the food. So it's a bit of an accent. So the people, the place, and the food. Where should I be like really going to really deeply experience such things?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So wait, it was people, place, and food. Did I get that right?
Yeah. Correct. Let me just put this on there.
So if it's people, I think you can't go wrong anywhere. Like Filipinos are honestly so nice, especially if you're a Filipino, they're a little bit less nice. But if you're a foreigner and you're like you're trying to find your way, they'll be really, really nice to you. And then so that answer is just anywhere. And then place, it depends what you like. We have so many different types of things. But beaches, we have so many beaches here, so you can't go wrong with any of the beaches. Boracay is one that's I guess the most famous. But you can go to Palawan as well. And then food. I'm kind of biased, so I'll say my region where I'm from. So I'm from my mom's from Bacolod, so that's in the southern part of the Philippines. But there's chicken inasal, like I feel like honestly the best chicken in the world is in Bacolod, so you have to go there.
Okay, cool. So Roxy is saying that I need to travel to the Philippines.
You should.
I plan to.
Definitely.
I want to. Yeah, definitely want to experience. So okay. So another question, because when it's talking about the people, right? Because like certain parts of like Singapore, even for a tiny little place like us, it's a different people at different regions have a somewhat different kind of I would say slightly kind of a micro culture. So in terms of the Philippines, because it's a big place, in terms of the people, right, where do you think like the northern region will be more of this kind of people, the western will be this kind of people, southern, or you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah. Well, it's actually interesting because the Philippines is composed of like over 7,000 islands. So we have so many subcultures, and we actually have so many languages, and that's another thing. Like here in Manila, we'll speak Tagalog or Filipino, but if you travel a bit north, they'll speak like Kapampangan, or southern, they'll speak like Bisaya, Cebuano. So and there are a lot of stereotypes based on where you're from. Like they say like Ilocano people are like thrifty, they're kind of cheap, and then if like Ilonggos are very, very loving, very sweet. So it's, I don't know, like we honestly have so many. We have too many to name all of them. But they're it's very different, and I think that's also something that that I wouldn't say it's a negative, but it's hard to form like a stereotypical Filipino like accent or trait, because there's so many types of people here, so it's hard to do that.
Right, right. Okay, I get in terms of like every place has its own subculture, and okay, so in terms of place, right? Because I think Philippines again, very beautiful place. I think the
Mhm.
one of the places that I really want to visit, I think they call it the Coffee Hills. Is that what they call it? It's kind of
Chocolate
Chocolate
Hills
Hills, yeah,
in
Chocolate
Bohol.
Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I saw that, I'm like, wow, that's a very interesting place. I definitely want to visit because like those hills become chocolate color because of the season changes and all that. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty interesting place. So okay, so in terms of place, where if let's say someone's looking for okay, maybe let's break it down. So in terms of scenic places,
Mhm.
I'm thinking chocolate hills, but of course, if there's any suggestion you can think of, you can look into that scenic places and perhaps like maybe nightlife and uh some a place that becomes a bit more, I would say, exciting. I don't know whether I'm just throwing them because again, I know nothing about the Philippines, so I just want
Yeah.
to ask you that.
So scenery, I think Bohol's a great pick. You can't go wrong with Bohol. But um,
What's in
other than
Bohol?
that, Bohol,
Mm.
yeah, I guess like Chocolate Hills, they're known for that, and they're known for you can see this like Tarshir. It's like a wait. Is that actually? Let me Google it. I'm not too sure. Tarshir Bohol. Yes.
This is the best part
Yes.
of doing
Yes.
in
Okay.
life.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know if you can show a picture, but it's basically a monkey that's like it fits in the palm of your hands,
Mhm.
and they have like huge eyes. They're super cute.
Oh yes, I
So
remember that one. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that you can find that in Bohol. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So I would agree that Bohol is one of the most scenic places in the Philippines. And if you want to just like look like for visual things, Bohol would be a great place. And what is the next one? Nightlife? Was it nightlife?
Yeah, let's still go with nightlife.
Nightlife has to be Manila. Manila, like in it's like BGC or Makati. That's where the working class really like all the jobs are in one of those two cities. So
Mm,
because all the jobs are there, like all the bars are there also. Not right now,
right.
obviously, because pandemic, but usually there's so many bars and it's fun to just like go bar hopping. Yeah,
Mm,
so
true, very
probably.
true. So, hey, Bevan, good to see you. Welcome to the show as well,
Hey,
Bevan.
Bevan.
So, yeah, yeah. Okay, so, okay, in that case, okay, so and what was the last one about? Okay, so like somewhere exciting. Where, if let's say, I would, if I, again, if money wasn't a problem and I could travel anywhere I want to go in the Philippines and I have, let's say, a date, right? And I wanted to
Mhm.
impress my date, where would I be bringing her? Where would I be bringing her?
Ooh, I'll have to go with Boracay, and I think Boracay is like probably the most famous tourist destination in the Philippines. And people say it's like overhyped, but I honestly think it's worth the hype. If you even like a
Mm,
Google image search of Boracay, even if you have like the ugliest camera on your phone, you just like point at the sky and take a picture. It's gonna look amazing. The sand is white and powdery, and there's so many different things to do. There's also a lot of bars
mm,
there, lots of like food places. Yeah, there's a reason why people go there so much. It really is
mm.
amazing.
Okay, so Boracay. All right, so I'll check those places out. Okay, then another thing I ask about food now. Okay, I think in terms of food, everybody loves to know about the food. So in terms of food, what is okay? Let's say in terms of Philippines, what do you think will be a food that represents Philippines?
I think our national food is it's adobo. Um, but like that's not my favorite food. But what if
Mm,
because the question is what represents the Philippines, right?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think adobo would be the best like representative. Adobo is
What
actually
is an adobo?
adobo is a Spanish word because we were colonized by Spain, like
Mm-hmm.
for 300 years. So adobo is a Spanish word that means marinate. So it's just like like either chicken or pork, and then it's in vinegar and soy sauce, and then they put like different. I'm not good at cooking, but they put like different like spices and stuff. But I think it's a good representation of us because it's something that's Spanish. It's a Spanish thing that we injected
Mm-hmm.
our own thing. So it's a lot of different things at once.
Okay, okay. So that was oh, okay. So I have a question from my friend Yongin. So Ryan, is it safe to visit the islands of Philippines and how's the security there?
Hmm. Safe. I think the question is safe. Like, am I gonna get pickpocketed and stuff? Right. I think that's the question. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. But like maybe right now, COVID cases are kind of high, so maybe don't go here yet. But
Okay.
yeah, in terms of security, I think the people are really nice. Just don't like, overly like wear all like diamonds, like a diamond necklace and diamond everything, because that's like
Mm.
basically a sign that, hey, I'm rich, steal my money. But if you're just low
Okay.
key, like I don't think anyone's gonna try to steal your stuff.
Right. So just don't look rich. Just go there. Just
Yeah,
don't look
yeah.
rich at all. Okay, very cool. Okay, so okay, speaking earlier, you mentioned a little bit about in terms of like going to different bars and just like hopping around. So the thing that reminds me a lot is by people who love to sing. The Filipinos like love to sing, right? You guys really love to
Definitely.
sing. So yeah, and
Yeah.
the first famous Filipino that I can remember is Leah Salonga, right? So she's famous. She's the singing voice of Princess Jasmine of Aladdin and Mulan. So
Yeah.
and because they love so much, so how much do Filipinos like really value singing?
Yeah, I don't think it's just singing. I think it's music in general. Like music is
Mm,
so important to us. In If you go out in the street, you're gonna hear music playing somewhere, whether it's like a street performer or like the public transport. I think all forms of public transport have music playing.
mm,
So I think it's yeah, I think it's that, and it might be also like Spanish influence,
mm,
and what, because it's Spain and America who colonized us and really like shaped our culture. So I think it's a lot of those things. Those two countries as well also really love music. So I think
mm,
they kind of gave that to us. But aside from that, we're also very like emotional people. So we love songs that are, the word is hugot. I don't think there's like an English translation for it, but it's a song that like tugs at your heartstrings and that hurts. If it's like slow, there's like a piano and then someone singing about like being broken up with. Like those are our favorite types of songs.
okay, okay, yeah, definitely for sure. Because I think yeah, I think I did a bit of research, and then the thing that came out was that the Filipinos are very emotional people, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, how can you quantify that in terms of what do you mean by very emotional people?
Um, I think we Filipinos get really happy fast, but also really mad fast, and you can see this on like YouTube and Facebook comments. If
Mhm.
if you make a really good video, Filipinos are gonna be like, "Wow, like yo, you're so good, you deserve like the world and stuff." But if you make a really bad video, they'll be like, "Oh, like stop making videos, you suck, you're terrible." So it's really, there's no middle ground. It's either they're really happy for you or they
Mm,
really hate you. So I don't know
very
why.
interesting.
I don't know why, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Very interesting, very interesting. Does that kind of stem from the okay, this again, I'm just wondering again, because in terms of
Yeah.
the society, okay, Philippines is my gut feel is more matriarchal. That means it's more
Yeah.
woman-led kind of thing. So
Mhm.
do you think that plays into the part of how it became very more emotional kind of country? Do you think that makes sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, but also, um, I think it's just like based on, I don't know. I don't think it's the mom doing stuff, and I don't think it's
Mm,
something they teach either. It's just like even I would say even Filipinos who don't grow up in the Philippines, like they say like Filipino Americans and Filipino Canadians, I would say they're also the same. Like, they're also very emotional, and you see it in like Filipino American celebrities.
mm,
So I don't know, like that's something that maybe someone someday can write a paper about, and I would read it.
very cool. All right, so Yongin is asking a question over here. What's the biggest festival celebrated in the Philippines, and how do they celebrate?
Ooh, I would
I think I know what's the longest one, but I want to find out what's the biggest one.
what's the longest one?
I suspect it's Christmas. I suspect it's Christmas.
Oh, by festival you mean like a holiday?
I guess so. Yeah. So let's look at it as a
Oh,
holiday.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You're right about Christmas. We start.
Mm.
You hear Christmas songs as soon as the Burr months start. So September, there's already Christmas music in the malls, and people are selling.
September.
Yeah, people are selling Christmas
Wow.
decorations and everything. Yeah, I think because the Philippines is a very religious country. It's a very Catholic country. So like the birth of
Mm.
Jesus is a big thing. We have things like Simbang Gabi. It means
Mhm.
like night mass. So people will go to mass at like 12 in the morning, 2 in the morning. Yeah. So
Wow. Okay.
so yeah,
So
it
wow.
is Christmas. But like how I understood the question first was like like the biggest festival, because we have something called the like the Mascara Festival. Like, so everyone's
Mhm.
like in masks. It's almost like Mardi Gras, if you know what Mardi Gras is. So everyone's in the streets
Brazil.
partying,
Mhm.
everyone's drinking and dancing, and everyone's like like you have masks on. It's a fun time. Yeah.
Okay, so wow, so a third of the year is kind of for Christmas. That's quite amazing. And that's I was like I was doing some research. And I was like, wow, they start so early.
Yeah.
You guys start
Well,
really early to
I,
celebrate.
I wouldn't call it the exact start, because there's still Halloween. You know what I mean? But people are already selling stuff in their Christmas sales, and I feel like it's more of just like, like sprinkling it a little bit, like it's like a teaser, and
Mm,
then as soon as Halloween ends, there you take down the Halloween decorations, put up your Christmas tree, and it's a good time.
okay, cool. So like so Roxy is saying there are lots of festivals and they are big specifically in the region that celebrates them. Christmas and New Year is fairly big because most folks celebrate Christmas and New Year is New Year.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So okay. So New Year is Christmas is huge. New Year is huge. Okay. So how do you guys like celebrate New Year then? Is it also
New
very
Year?
huge?
Yeah. I would say like Christmas is more of like a family event. Like you sit down and you eat and things like that. But the New Year is more of like, it's like a party. Like you're still with family, but then like friends are welcome. We count down the New Year, and we have like a lot of traditions. I don't know if this is this is just a Filipino thing, but there's a tradition where you have to jump during like, do you guys not do this? You jump as soon as
Jump on
it hits
where?
12.
No, we
'Cause-
don't.
Well, I guess because Filipinos are very short. Like, I think we're one of the shortest race countries. So we're taught when we're kids that if you want to grow taller, you have to jump when it's
Jump.
12. Yeah,
that's
you have to
interesting.
keep jumping. So
Oh, okay. So it's like before 12, you just keep jumping, and then afterwards.
yeah, like 11.
Is that why you guys
11:59.
really love basketball as well?
No. That's the Americans. That the American colonization. They brought basketball here, basketball and baseball, but baseball didn't really stick, but basketball did.
Okay. So, all right. So, because I think in the side of the Philippines side, the culture is very much, you guys have a very strong community aspect. You guys love to congregate. You guys love to get together, and it's one of the best things. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, right, this whole thing has really kind of limited our ability
Yeah.
to get together. I think even for us Chinese as well, because we also love to congregate, we love to get together. Like during Chinese New Year, it's a very important time. And then when the pandemic hits, we're all very limited in that. So how has that kind of affected you guys over in the Philippines, where you guys like can't get together? How does it make you feel?
Yeah, it's really hard, especially Christmas last year, man. It was so difficult. And I think everyone here during Christmas, we like to really meet extended family. So it's not just your immediate family. You usually go to your grandparents, or even like your great grandparents, and you meet all your cousins, and you eat together. But here it had to be through Zoom, and it's honestly so sad having I mean, Zoom's great. Like, I don't have anything against Zoom. Like, Zoom's how we teach, right? We use Zoom a lot, but
Yeah.
it's not the same as real life, man. It's really not the same. It does its best, but we're just hoping for things to get back normal. I feel like this Christmas, with the vaccine and all, it can go back to normal. But it's been tough. For Filipinos especially, I feel.
I agree. I think it's very tough for pretty much everybody, and especially for very communal people.
Yeah,
Filipinos are like very communal people. So Yongye has another question over here. So how about other people with different religions? How do they celebrate their festivals there?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I think we're really really majority Catholic. Like, I think maybe like 90%. I could be wrong, but yeah. I think Christmas is still something that they can celebrate. It's more than just a religious thing. It's really, I mean, at this point, it's really about celebrating family. So no matter what your religion is, I think Christmas is a time to do that. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. So it kind of like during Christmas, everybody kind of celebrates together. Okay, intriguing,
Yeah.
interesting. So a question I had a little bit earlier that came to my mind is when it comes to like Filipinos, you guys like really love singing. The bit of research I saw was that pretty much everywhere is a karaoke machine. Is that true?
Not everywhere. It depends what area, but
But you say
you know,
not
actually,
everywhere, but you
yeah,
are like
yeah.
you are calculating. So that means there is a certain like permeation. And there's a lot of karaoke
Oh
machines
yeah,
everywhere. Is that right?
definitely, definitely. Like not necessarily the machine, but like karaoke bars. There's a karaoke bar everywhere. Like no
Mm,
matter what district you go to. Yeah. Well, maybe before, like when karaoke machines were more popular. Like I don't know if you remember, like the really big thing with all the
mm,
buttons. And now it's more of like a home thing. Like people will have in
mm.
their houses. Like it's just like a device you can buy. So I guess that's why there are less karaoke machines because it's at the home now.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So when it comes to singing, like because you guys have there's so many of you guys that sing, that if someone can't sing, how do you think that person has to handle himself in terms of like the social aspect? It will it be tough for that fella?
You know what? In my experience, the people who can't sing, they really like bring it. Like they know they can't sing, but then they'll try to sing like a Beyonce song or like an F James, something that really takes vocal prowess. So they'll be almost singing, screaming the lyrics, and it's funny. So that's why they tell it, because if they're not good, so at least be funny. That's what they do.
Ah, okay, okay. So if you can't sing it, you just like scream it, right?
Yeah.
Just enjoy, have fun, and make everybody have fun together. Okay, so it kind of makes sense, have fun together. That's a very good way to go about it. Okay, okay. So I was thinking, if because you guys sing so much and as practice is kind of everywhere, you're hearing music all the time. It's very hard to not sing. So, but the ones I see appearing on stage tend to still be the ladies. Are there
Yeah.
any like got male singers that is I would say in according to you in the Philippines is more representative of the range, the prowess, who can you think of?
For male singers,
Yeah, for male
yeah.
singers.
The first name that comes to mind is Arnel Pineda. He's the singer of Journey, like the rock band Journey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, don't stop
Yeah,
believing, right? The guy.
yeah. Well, they had Don't Stop Believing was still Steve Perry, the original singer. But when he
Mhm.
left and did a solo career, they went through a bunch of different singers, and then the current singer, he's a Filipino. Name's Arnel Pineda.
Ah,
Who else? Like Apple the App from the Black Eyed Peas. I guess he's more of a rapper, but
mhm.
yeah, that's him. And then, uh, I guess most of the male ones do more stuff here, and I think it's the female ones who do the international stuff. And I think the ones you see are like on X Factor and The Voice, because I think girls have an advantage when it comes to singing competitions, because obviously they can sing
Mhm.
higher, and that's more impressive for a show like the X Factor, because you can do all these runs and then all these crazy
Mhm.
things with your
Mhm.
voice, where guys can do more like songwriting and stuff. So I think more guys in the music industry here, like there are more guys than girls, but when international, it's
Mm.
more girls.
Right, right. Okay. So if since there's so many things about the ladies, okay. Another question I had was in the Philippines itself, the other obsession I kind of call it obsession, but correct me if I'm using the wrong word. Okay. So,
Mhm.
the other obsession I think the Philippines has is with beauty pageants.
Oh yeah,
Is that true?
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, it's great. I mean, I honestly think the reason why we love it so much is because we're not. I mean, internationally, we're not like known for a lot of stuff. Like let's say
Mm-hmm.
Olympics, we never really win in the Olympics, or we don't have like international movies or anything like that. But we always place at least in the top 10 in beauty pageant. So that's why like we're so like, oh, we won before, we need to win again. Yeah, I get it. I feel like it's mostly that.
Okay, so because of this standard, do you think that because of such a fascination or such an obsession with the beauty pageants, I think the research I saw was like pretty much they say every village has a pageant going on. Something is like just some kind of pageant going on to see or talking about beauty and kind of stuff. Does it kind of create a or send a confused message about I'm just curious, I'm just really curious, sending
Mhm.
confused message about being exterior instead of like internal beauty and stuff like that? What do you think? I'm asking a dude,
Mhm.
but I'm just very curious from your aspect.
Yeah, yeah. I was about to say like I feel like a girl would have better like better input. But for me, I think it's I don't know. Like I think beauty pageants have a good way of bringing out even the inside. Like the
Mhm.
question and answer part is honestly so hard. The questions that they always ask are so crazy. Like how can you change the world and what's one
Mm.
thing you would change and stuff like that. So you can't just be like a pretty face when you do these things. You really have to be like well rounded. You have to have like a talent. You have to be good at a lot of different things. So yeah, I don't think it's just an outer thing.
Okay, so in terms of the beauty pageants, would it be very hard for guys then? Because like everyone's going for a beauty pageant, kind of all the ladies are going for the beauty pageants, right? So for dudes, it's kind of like it's all the pretty ladies everywhere, and then you look at our face, we don't. There's not much hope for us. Do you think it's hard for guys? Are the odds stacked against you? Is it like very hard because like so many pretty ones out there? Is it hard for the
So
guys to get a date?
ah, you know what? Not really. I think, bec- but I will agree that if we were to rank, like the level of beauty, like the girls here are a lot more attractive than the guys. But I feel like because we're the guys here, so like they have to pick us. So it's not that hard. But then I feel like if you're a moderately attractive guy, it's easier. Like if you're at least like a 7 out of 10, like you're good to go. And also I feel like guys care more about looks than girls do. Like girls will look more about personality. I think because girls can just get guys easily, like they can
Mhm.
choose. Where guys really have to like say like use all the moves and stuff to get the girl to like them. Yeah, like girls will look more on the inside, where guys will just like think with their their other brain.
Yes, okay, yeah, yeah. I think that's a quote I remember a long time ago was that God gave man enough blood only for one head.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Agree.
yeah. Yeah. So
Ugh.
for children who are watching this, I don't think there's any children. You'll
No,
understand
no,
that when you
no.
get older.
Watch this 10
Yeah.
years from now. You'll get
Yes,
it.
yes. You'll get it. You'll get it. Okay. So in the aspect, okay, for in terms in this case for in terms of what are the male female ratio then in the Philippines? How's the male female ratio then? Is there more females than more guys?
I think so, but not by a lot.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly the
Okay.
numbers, but I will guess it's like 55% girls, 45% guys. Like maybe
Okay.
that's my
Okay.
guess.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's kind
So
of even. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of so that was the one thing that I want to know. So, but another question I had, because you guys were kind of colonized by Spain and America kind of stuff. Do you think
Mhm.
what are your thoughts? When there's any of our white friends, okay, who are compatriots who from overseas, they come over and they find partners locally. How do you guys feel about that?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything against it,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's this uh I don't know, like I read in a book before that sometimes like Filipinas who are usually in like the lower income parts, like their dream is to marry like a foreigner, because
Mm-hmm.
like some, especially like older foreigners, they do come here and then they look for Filipinas to marry. So I don't have anything against it, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's okay.
It is a touchy topic, I would say, because I think even here in Singapore, where we kind of have in the older days where Singapore was still starting out, and a lot of us we also do look to the Western the people who come over here, and we do have a term for the ladies who specifically cater to these white males, these white people. So we do have a terms like that. Do you guys have term like that for people for people who like that who just specifically target the white guys?
No, not really. We have like
Mm,
a there's like a type. Usually if
mm,
I don't know, like I don't know if this is like mean to say, but then but usually the white guys and like the older white men who come here, and then the girls they pick, like they're not the girls I would ask out on dates. They have like a
mm,
certain look, And I think the word is exotic. Like they think, well, I guess because when you grow up somewhere else and you see, people who kind of like look a certain way, you go to another country and everyone looks different. So you like you can't really, I'm not gonna say tell the difference, but then it's different from someone who would grow up there. So
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. So that means like locally the people you'll be like, wow, how is she with him? That kind of thing, right? It's like locally you is that what you're trying to say?
No. It's more like it's more like the girls they would go for, or the like girls I would never ask out because
Mm.
they
Ah,
like they don't appeal to me there.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, interesting. All right. So okay, so then a question I have is I know I'm just like spitballing. I'm just randomly shooting down
Go
stuff.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's because again, I'm very curious about this Philippines because I haven't been there, right? So, okay, so Philippines itself tends to I think question that had earlier Yongin asked about in terms of the safety and the security and kind of stuff like that. In terms if let's say if I were to visit Philippines, okay, what are the things that I should be careful about or avoid? Let's say, of course, I don't like we mentioned earlier, right? I don't look as if I'm
Yeah.
right for
Like a
picking,
rich.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So what other things should I be aware of so that I don't offend people? I don't because like you said earlier, Filipinos tend to be very emotional people. You're either very on or very against. So what should I be doing? What are the things I should be careful about to not like trigger people, like start an avalanche of emotions? Or what should I be very careful about?
Hmm. That's a good question. I feel like for you specifically, it's interesting because you're Chinese, and there's a lot of I mean not from Singapore, but there's a lot of Chinese people who come here from mainland, from like mainland China, and a lot of Filipinos don't like them because they're so rude. Like they'll cut in line, or they'll just like not follow rules and stuff. So I mean like honestly, just be a decent person. Like just follow rules, and
Mm.
don't be rude to anyone, and you should be okay.
Mm. It's very interesting because I've traveled to China for some business work previously, and there was something that I've learned. It's actually it's a cultural difference. Is in certain parts of China, they actually don't line up. It's normal for them, and this is something I found out very interesting because I was at the bank, and there was one lady who was the what do you call it, customer service officer. She was
Mhm.
in front of them, and she was handling like 5 or 6 people at the same time,
Like
and
just
they all just
around
went up
her.
to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally surrounded her, and she was able to tackle all of them. So that's the kind of culture that they're used to in China.
Right.
I think
Right.
even in Singapore here, we also get the same thing. It's like I think a couple of friends were also working at the airport, and after the Chinese people, there's clearly a queue, there's clearly a
Yeah.
line,
Yeah.
and they'll just walk to the front and just ask the staff. Then the staff will be so please go to the back
Please
and line
line
up.
up.
Then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, please line up. So yes, it's just it's a cultural kind of thing, and I understood. Oh, that's because of their culture. So
Right.
it's we just educate these people. You got to hit back and so we have Shirley who actually came back, made it. Shirley, thank you, awesome.
Hey, Shirley.
Yeah, good. Shout out for Shirley. Thanks for joining in the show as well, Shirley. All right, so I'm asking this question because it's okay. So is there anything in terms of okay? So being a Chinese, okay, I'm there.
Mhm.
So what should I be careful about?
I guess it really depends on the person, but
Mm.
I will say that some Filipinos, yeah, because there are mainland people who've treated them harshly in the past. They might like automatically assume like, oh, this person's gonna do like bad things because he looks like this. So
Mm.
so you just don't yeah, just show that you're like smile, show that you're a kind person, and I think they'll treat you well. Like we talked about how Filipinos are always very emotional, but if you have a Filipino friend, they'll be like your friend forever. So you just need to win them
Mm.
over, and
Right.
they'll be really nice to you.
Okay, so would it make sense if, let's say, if I were to go to the Philippines, I have a friend who was a local to kind of like walk together around with me. Would it make sense to do that?
Yeah, sure. Fine. Well, I think also that would make sense more of just like to get places. It's kind of like, especially if you're a foreigner, it's not like in Singapore or Japan where you can just take like public transport. Here,
Mhm.
our public transport is very very bad. Our train lines don't really connect so well. So you need to even if you do use the trains, which are always really really packed, so it's hard to even get on them. It's hard to get from one stop to another. So you're gonna need like someone who knows what they're doing.
Okay, cool. So, hey, Buyan from
Hey,
Mongolia.
Buyan.
Welcome, all the way from Mongolia. All right, so we're going international. Woo! Look, if Pitbull was here, woo!
Mr. Worldwide, Mr.
It's worldwide. 305. Yeah, man, I miss the guys.
Yeah.
Correct. So you know it's a Pitbull song where you're like, woo! Any song he has him there.
At the start,
Any song.
like you'll know it's him at the start because he'll say all those things.
Yes, exactly. It's So Pitbull, so Mr. Worldwide, indeed. Okay, so so all right. So in that case, okay, if I were to, let's say, now you are right now, Ryan. For one day, you are the most powerful man in Philippines. The most powerful man. You could do anything you want within the confines of Philippines. Anything. What would you do?
Ooh. That's interesting. I could change any law and
Anything. In one day, anything you can do anything. What would you do?
oh, that's such an interesting question. Whew. You're putting me on the spot here, but
Okay, let's think of 3 areas that you think. If let's say there are 3 areas that you could fix or you could do something about, what would the 3 areas be roughly?
that's easier. I feel like one would be education. I'm very fortunate to have gone to a private school, so that's why I can speak English with a certain level of proficiency. But other people don't have that privilege, so I would really invest in public education and invest enough that I would want, or I would be okay with putting my kids into public school. Because right now, like in the future, if I had kids, like I'm sending them to private school so they can have a better future. But if we're at the point where we can just put them in public school and it's gonna be fine, we're secured for their future. That's honestly the dream, because education is the future of society. Like if we have smarter people, we can have smarter lawmakers, smarter doctors, smarter everything. So education is one. And I wish there was a way we could stop this thing called brain drain. And it's
okay.
Yeah, it's this thing where, like, let's say nurses or doctors or like professionals, they would want to leave the Philippines and work in other countries because like the pay's better, the system's more efficient, and the like you have better benefits. So I would want a way to stop that. So I guess the way to stop that is to make things better here, right? If we have like better healthcare, better pay, then people wouldn't have to leave the country to get those things.
Okay, so
yeah.
you were mentioning earlier about the education part. So actually just nice. Shirley was saying education. She chimes in the same as well. And Yongin asking a question: are the people given free education?
Yes. So until high school, but then, like I said earlier, there's a big difference from private and public education. Like you, sometimes the classrooms are so cramped, or sometimes there's not enough teachers or not enough facilities, and some people can't even afford to buy school supplies. So and so they can't go to school. It's things like that I wish was more equal. I wish people had more opportunities, because I honestly believe that we might have missed out on like a Filipino Einstein or like a Filipino Tesla, because that student wasn't given the opportunity to go to school and to learn all these things. So like I would really put a premium on education if I were the most powerful man.
Cool. So what we have Roxy is saying over here to legalize divorce, increase the standard of education, and hold politicians accountable for their actions. There are many more, but those are the good starts. Oh, interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Also, legalize divorce. I think the Philippines is like one of like the last 3 countries or 2 countries who have not legalized divorce, and it sucks, especially for women. Like, let's say you're a woman who you give up your job to have kids and stuff, so you have no income, no anything, and if you're trapped in like an abusive relationship, there's no escape because you don't have money to do anything. yeah, you have to get an annulment, and annulments can cost a lot of money. So
Wow.
I think it's really for the women who suffer. So I think
Mm.
divorce should have been legal years and years ago. So
Oh, I
I agree,
definitely
Roxy.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that divorce was considered illegal in the Philippines. So
Mhm.
okay, that's a very interesting. I did not know that. So
Yeah.
Boyan is saying you guys speak two languages in Philippines, English and Spanish, and it's a great asset. Agreed. Spanish is one of
Mhm.
the largest, most
Ooh.
commonly spoken language, English, Mandarin, and Spanish. So
Yeah. Oh,
agreed.
actually, we
So
don't speak Spanish anymore. We used to. So my grandparents and great grandparents, they still knew how to speak Spanish.
mhm.
But when the Americans came here, they made sure to change everything into English. So
Mm.
our education, our school system used to be in Spanish, so they changed that, made it to English. Like all of our signs and stuff, they changed it to English. So yeah,
Mm.
we can't speak Spanish anymore, but we're very good at speaking English, I will say.
Mm. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, you guys are. I think the pearl of the Orient Seas also came from the Spanish word. That was what because that was how it came about. I think for the Philippines. Okay, so you talk about that. So what's the brain dump? Brain
Brain
drain.
drain, brain drain.
Brain
Yeah.
drain. Yeah, not brain dump. Brain drain. Second point. Yeah. How do you think? What's the? Why do you want to work on that? Because you realize there's a lot of outflow.
Yeah,
Is
I
that it?
mean it sucks because the way to change society is, it have like great minds running the country, and we can't
Mm.
really do that if our greatest minds like move to the US and the UK, and then they're helping, helping American life get better. Or, like if a Filipino doctor moves to the States to become a doctor, the lives he's
Mhm.
saving are like American lives, and like, that's great for them. But then I'm sure they have great doctors too. So yeah, yeah. I wish there was a way we could help. We could stop that.
Right. So what would be the third thing that you could change then? Because you talked about education, you talked about brain drain, so kind of retaining talents. What would the third thing that you could
Yeah.
change? What would it, if for one day? What would you do?
Um, the third thing would be I'm more of like a movie and music guy. So I would
Mhm.
want like more investment into local movies. So we have so many talented filmmakers, but the films that they tend to make cater to like a mass audience. So
Mhm.
they're not really like movies that make you think, or movies that make you feel intense emotions. They're just like
Mm.
comedies that are kind of trashy, and I guess they're entertaining for what they are. But I wish we had a lot of movies that talked about like deeper topics, like movies that you'd see in the Oscars. Yeah, like we need more of those movies. So yeah,
Okay,
I
so
guess
you
that's
want
the third thing.
something that's that can tap into the culture of the Philippines
Yeah,
that goes
yeah,
deeper rather than just the very surface level slapstick comedy
exactly,
kind of thing.
exactly.
But you
Yeah,
want something that goes because you guys, as you mentioned, are very emotional people, and the emotional spectrum is huge. You can go so deep if you want to. So you probably look into is go into that too. And I think because of that, that's also it does make sense because like even America or kind of stuff, they one of the why they're so powerful also because they have the power over media. There's so many people just
yeah,
watching kind of stuff,
yeah.
and it is a good
Exactly,
way. It
exactly.
is very true, very true. So, oh, Yongin has another question, which is a good question. Well, I think same thing. If couples can't divorce, does that mean that they stay together for life, even though they can't stand each other?
So the one way to get separated is called it's annulment. So you have to prove that your partner is like crazy or something, like they have like a mental disability, or they yeah, like something that crazy, and you have to prove it.
Mm.
So if you're just like two people who really don't get along, um yeah, you can't. You can just not live together. Like legally you're married, but then like you just don't see each other. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So does that mean that because of that, there's like couples who are kind of married to other people, but they are separated and they just are staying with each other, even
What
though they're
did
married to
sorry?
another person? That means,
Yes,
let's say,
yes. Yeah, yeah.
there
Like
is.
some people even have children with other people, even if they can't be married to that person.
Wow, wouldn't that be very confusing for the children? Like if let's say they do have children, wouldn't it be very confusing because they were wondering,
Yeah,
wouldn't it be
but then
confusing?
um yeah, but you know what? I've never encountered a person, but I feel like I think there's a way to talk to kids. I think kids are a lot smarter than we think they are. You know, you have two dads and two moms in a sense. So double the gifts. but
Interesting.
like when they get to a certain age, I think even maybe like 10 years old is old enough, I think, to to understand like, oh, here in the country we don't have these things. So this is the setup. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So Buyan is asking, so very musical people, you compete with K-pop and Korean pop shows. What do you think?
We can't because of the quality. Like, well, it's so hard because I feel like we can we have the artistic talent to do it, but because like with Korea, the government really funds their culture so much, and like that's how they got to the heights that they got, because the government really supported them. Here, it's not that. Like, government doesn't really support our culture, so the people who make it are really in it for profit, and the way to profit is to make those kind of cheap comedies and cheap like soap operas, because that's what people are gonna watch.
I get you. Okay, so I think in terms of the other talent that I know that does pretty well in the Philippines is Myrtle. I think Myrtle Sarosa Abigail. I think that's her full name. So she's a cosplayer. She's pretty huge. She's the first students I ever had that actually had her own Wikipedia page as well.
Ooh,
I think it's about
okay.
yeah. So she's huge. Yeah. So okay. So why no? Right. He's probably quite sad about that. Okay, very true. All right. So wow, we're coming to an hour. So I think time has passed by very quickly, and it's one of the fun things. So one of the things that I do like to tap into, because whenever I call it the Starting Million Show, is one of the reasons is because if you could tap into let's say in our lifetime, you have over the course of your lifetime, it's not hard to imagine that you could impact 1,000 people, or you could reach 1,000 people. It's not hard to imagine, and in turn, they could also reach another 1,000 people. That means you are literally 2 degrees away from reaching 1 million people, quite literally. Because of that, right? So if you at this right now, if you were to say, what would you say to someone? Okay, if you were to help this person, and just with all the knowledge, all experience that you ever had, right? What would you say to this person who could have maybe share more about the Filipino culture to 1 million people? What would you encourage to say to this person?
Ooh. So we're reaching like worldwide, not just Filipinos. Is that the
Yes.
question? Okay.
Yes.
Oh wait. Can I ask you first, like before I
Yeah.
answer the question, like what is your idea of like a Filipino? Like just in your head, when I say like Filipino person, what's the first thing you think of?
A Filipino. Okay. Because my very first experience as a Filipino in Singapore was when I was a kid, and my parents hired me. So that was my very first experience with that as a Filipino. But as I grew older, I in terms of Filipinos, it was mostly about the culture, the singing. It was a very, very emotional people who are very active, very vocal. So I would say that's the kind of thing that comes to mind when I think of a Filipino.
Okay, yeah, and I think those are good, and those are like good, like almost like surface level things. So I wish that the people knew more. Well, and like I said earlier, it's hard to say like what a Filipino is, because we're an archipelago. So everyone's so different. So yeah. Like I wish people would know that like we're more than that, more than just like the surface level stuff. And yeah, like I hope that the people realize that the being Filipino is cool. Like we don't have to aspire to be like a different race or anything. So yeah, it's more of that, that I want like thousands and millions of people to know.
Right. Okay. Just be proud that you are Filipino, or afterwards just be bravely share the culture out to the world, because I think people, like you said, it is a good time, especially now in this day and age. The internet is available for everybody to kind of let people know more about the culture, and to go deeper, to create more of your own kind of content and online, right? So Buyan saying the Asian Jamaica. Interesting. Interesting. The Asian Jamaica.
Interesting. I've never heard that. Usually people say we're like the Asian Mexico.
Why do you say
usually-
Asian Mexico?
Because we were colonized by the same two countries. It's like Spain and the US.
Ah,
So
okay,
we share like a lot of similar things. Like they have like quinceañera, and then like we have debuts. Like it's yeah,
okay.
and we have the same like last
Very-
names usually. Like if there's like a Rodriguez, there's a Rodriguez who's like Filipino, Mexican Rodriguez. Yeah.
Very true, very true. Yeah, and I think even for the religion side, it's also quite similar as well,
Oh,
right? In terms
yeah,
of the-
yeah. Because Spain gave both of us religions. Like whatever religions we used to have, they just like got rid of those things and then gave us like Christianity. So
Right. See. Okay. So, all right. So, Ryan, can you just before we end, right? So, can you just tell us a little bit more about what you do and like how can people reach you?
sure. So hi, if you don't know yet, my name is Ryan, and I make content all about Filipino culture. I mean, we did this whole hour-long segment talking about Filipino things. So obviously, it's something I'm very passionate about. So my YouTube channel, it's just my name, Ryan Racela, but the show is called Ryan Rambles with Ryan Racela. I make videos about Filipino movies, TV shows, like anything Filipino related. Honestly, so I'm on Facebook also. Facebook.com/Ryan Rambles. I'm a radio DJ. I'm getting my second dose next week. So when I'm fully vaccinated, I can go back to the radio booth. Excited about that. So you can listen to me on Magic 89.9. That's my radio station. And Instagram @_ Ryan Racela. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me just put that in. So, guys, so if you want to connect with Ryan, so you head over to. Okay, if you're not sure, just look at his name, Ryan Racela. Head over there and just search for his name there, right? Instagram, and you can also find. Let me just put that. So, is it Ryan Ryan Rambles or is it Ryan?
For Instagram, it's @_ Ryan Racela.
Okay, Ryan Racela, like that. Okay, so let me know if this is correct. So I should have put a dot there.
Yes.
Okay, but
Yes. Yeah.
all right. So if guys figure your way, just follow Ryan. Right, just
If you search my
uh,
name, I'll show up somewhere. Like
yeah.
search
I
it.
think there's only like one Ryan Racela in the whole world, right?
No,
Or is there a
actually,
few?
no. There are three of us in my family alone because there's a rule that we have to be R. So my dad's name is like Roderico. My brother is Rafa. My sister is Raya. So there's only so many R names that can go around. So there's three of us Ryans.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
if it's not me, you might accidentally be following my cousin. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay, very cool. So that that's a family thing. So you decided to make it all R's. Okay, very very cool.
Yeah.
So you guys are rolling. All right, all right. So any parting words before we end?
Parting words. Yeah. Well, not just for Filipinos. I think for anyone. Your culture is cool. There's something interesting about everyone's culture, no matter what country you're from, and I think it's always cool to represent and to show it to the world because usually like what we know about other countries is just like surface level stuff. Like it's always just the stereotypes, and oftentimes it's true. Like the stereotypes are true. There's so much more than that. So especially now that the world is more globalized and online is a huge thing, I think it's important to show other people what your culture is. So that's something I'd love for everyone to do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Ryan. And indeed, I think when I introduced you as you are someone that's very passionate about the Filipino culture, that clearly shows, and I'm inspired because a lot of the things that I asked you as well, you didn't kind of prepare beforehand. You were already kind of at your fingertips, and you kind of handled it like a champ. So you just able to handle all of them, especially because they relate so much to your culture. And I've learned. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and your passion together with me and to all the viewers.
Yeah, it was an honor to be here, man. Thank you to everyone, to Asher and all the viewers. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Okay, say bye, Ryan, and I'll chat you after the show, right?
Peace.
Okay, take care, Ryan. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining. This is Asher out once more for the Starting Million Show. Again, I'm very thankful for Ryan to join the show, and especially for you for asking your questions. Yong-in, Roxy, Buyan, and who else? We have Bevan join us briefly, and let's see, and Shirley, of course. So thank you so much for all of you guys coming in. And yeah, so Yong-in saying, thanks, Asha, for invite, and Ryan for sharing information about the Philippines. I like your country. Would love to visit your country one day. Happy birthday, Ryan, in advance. Indeed. Okay, he's in the background. He's smiling. Okay, so he's smiling. I can still see his face. Okay, so Buya saying thanks so much. And Shirley, looking forward to our show. Thank you for joining as well. So Once more, guys, if you haven't done so already, feel free to follow me at It's Asher Ao. Okay, so just follow me. Where's my stuff? I need to find my own stuff. Okay, so follow me on It's Asher Ao on Facebook and on YouTube. Okay, and then of course, if you want to be a guest on the show, feel free to hit me up, comment guest, leave a comment, message me, and we'll make some arrangement to bring onto the show. All right. So one last thing, if you guys also want to learn how you can present, connect, and sell your services, your products like a pro on live stream, leave comment #livepro, and I'll reach out to you with more details. Okay. With that said, guys, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.